Hi there, and welcome back to Paws and Pawsitivity. I'm Jamie Watkinson-Harvey, your certified dog trainer and host of this podcast. And whether you're curled up with your pup or heading out for a walk with pockets full of treats, I'm so glad that you're here. Today's episode is all about a question I get asked a lot, and honestly, it's one I've pondered myself in the past. Why does my dog eat grass, and should I be worried? Now, if you've ever looked out into the garden and caught your dog having a nibble at your lawn like it's a fancy salad bar, you're not alone. This is one of the most searched for dog behaviours on the internet, and it sparks a fair bit of panic, especially among new dog guardians. So let's break it down together, myth by myth, behaviour by behaviour, and hopefully leave you feeling a lot more relaxed by the end of it. I want to start with the big myth, the one that sends people into a tailspin. And that's the idea that dogs eat grass because they're unwell and are trying to make themselves sick. Now, it is true that some dogs do vomit after eating grass. But here's the important bit. Most don't. In fact, a published study found that less than 10% of dogs were regularly sick after eating grass. So the idea that it's always about upset tummies just doesn't hold up. And dogs are, well, dogs. And dogs explore the world with their mouths. Grass is accessible, interesting, and sometimes even tasty to them. It's a bit like us reaching for a snack when we're bored or curious. Not because we're hungry or sick, just because it's there. Now, let's get into some of the real evidence-backed reasons of why your dog might be snacking on the shrubbery. Firstly, some dogs just like the texture or taste, especially if the grass is fresh, dewy, or a different kind than what they're used to. I've known plenty of dogs that seem to have a preference for certain types. Just like Reggie, my own Staffy. He went through a phase where he'd only eat long, wispy grass from one particular corner of our woodland walk. He was basically a grass connoisseur. Secondly, it could be about an attention-seeking behaviour. Now picture this. Your dog munches on some grass. You leap up and rush over saying, "Oi, what are you doing?" And boom, it's now just become a game. And even if unintentional, your reaction might be fueling the behaviour. Then there's self-soothing or boredom, especially for dogs left alone in gardens or not get enough enrichment throughout the day. Eating grass can become a sort of repetitive behaviour, a bit like nail biting in humans. It just fills a gap when there is nothing else happening. And finally, yes, in some rare cases, it might be linked to mild digestive discomfort. Some dogs might instinctively eat roughage when they feel a bit off. But again, this is the exception, not the rule. If it's happening regularly and paired with vomiting, diarrhea, or a change in the appetite, that's when it's time to check in with your vet. Now, I always say it's not about panicking. It's about being curious. So if your dog occasionally nibbles at grass, doesn't seem distressed, and isn't getting sick afterwards, chances are it's absolutely nothing to worry about. But here are a few signs to keep in mind that might suggest a vet check is a good idea. First, if the grass eating suddenly ramps up and becomes obsessive, like they're frantically searching for grass and just won't stop, that could indicate discomfort or stress. Next, if they're eating grass and then vomiting regularly, especially within a short time after, and especially if there are other symptoms like lethargy, drooling, or loss of appetite. And finally, if you notice any changes in poop, because yes, we do talk about poop on this podcast. So what can you do? If your dog is eating grass out of boredom or habit, there are some easy ways to redirect that behaviour. Try offering more sniff-based enrichment. Things like scatter feeding in the garden or hiding treats under flower pots. You can also rotate toys and chews to keep things exciting. I often recommend bringing a long line into a safe outdoor space and doing a little scent work or clicker training session outside. Make being in the garden about connection and not just free access to the grass buffet. And speaking of clicker training, marking calm behaviours and rewarding them in outdoor spaces can be a great way to build focus and engagement. It turns the garden into a training opportunity instead of a grazing field. Also, do keep in mind what grass your dog is exposed to. Avoid treated lawns. If your dog is going to be eating grass that's been sprayed with fertilizers or weed killer, that's a health risk. In public parks, be aware that other dogs might have peed on the grass or worse. So make sure you're watching what they're picking up. And I would like to share a little fun fact that surprised a lot of people. Wild canines like wolves and foxes also eat grass. And researchers do believe it could be for digestive balance or even to help pass fur or bone fragments through the digestive system. So it's not just a modern domestic dog thing. It's a behavior with deep roots in their natural history. That doesn't mean we should let dogs gorge themselves, but it does help us reframe it. It's not weird. It's not wrong. It's just dog. So to sum things up, grass eating in dogs is usually totally normal. Most of the time, it's just curiosity or a sensory experience. Sometimes it's boredom. Sometimes it's habit. And every now and then, it might be linked to something medical. But it doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. The important thing is to observe. Stay curious. And if you're ever unsure, your vet and your behavior consultant are there to help. And that's the key message I want you to take away today. Being a great dog guardian doesn't mean having all the answers. It means asking good questions and trusting that you can handle whatever comes your way, including the occasional grass chomping session. And that's it for today's episode of Paws and Pawsitivity. And I hope that you're walking away with some reassurance and a bit more confidence about what's going on when your pup takes a nibble of the lawn. And remember, it's not about stopping every quirky behaviour. It's about understanding it, supporting your dog, and creating a life where you both feel calm and connected. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me today. And if this episode helped you feel a bit less panicked about grass eating, or if it made you smile, I would love it if you can give the podcast a positive rating, share it with a fellow dog lover, and subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. Your support really does make all the difference. So until next time, take care and give your pup a big hug from me. Woofity woof.